Today is July 5th, 2021. My name is Charles Suter. Today I'm presenting part 2 of my series called Rationality. This one focused on accepting reality. My main purpose here is to help you become a more rational person. The main message: rationality is based on applying first principles. And here's one of them: accept reality and then deal with it rationally. Most people are not rational. If the average person were asked if he was rational, he would probably reply to the affirmative. However, rational people don't suffer from emotional distress from non-physical threatening causes. So if the average person were asked if he suffers from any abnormal emotional distresses, he would also likely say no, because most people are unaware of how their low-intensity upset moments affect them. Most level emotional distress is not consciously felt because anxieties, annoyances, resentments, frustrations, impatience, ill will, for example, are not normally considered emotional distress. These emotional feelings just don't stand out enough to be remembered. However, experiences of low-level negative emotions are very frequent, and they are the gateway to more harmful emotions of anger, melancholy, discontent, regret, shame, guilt. Avoiding all forms and levels of emotional distress is the primary value of rationality. A rational person is free of unnecessary emotional distress because they have spent years developing their rational beliefs. By consciously challenging their own irrational thinking and purposely programming rational beliefs within their subconscious mind. This series of presentations is focused on defining rationality, its inherent value in creating success and happiness, and how to become a rational person. Proposition 1. Rationality, or I should say reality, must be accepted until it can be changed or mastered. You do not control reality, and what you cannot control, you must accept, at least initially. The sooner you accept reality, the less emotional frustration you're going to suffer. You can only make choices to interact with reality, to influence outcomes, after you have calmly accepted the reality of the situation. A person's first response to adversity or any situation that is not working out according to one's preferences or what they think or believe to be right is to respond with emotional distress that prepares them for a fight or flight response. The rational response, on the other hand, to any sort of emotional distress is to reframe the initial interpretation of reality based on a few rational thinking rules. According to a rational philosophy, not to accept reality, but instead to fight against it while suffering emotional distress is entirely unnecessary, especially when there are so many good choices available whenever reality turns out to be adverse to your preferences. And for every circumstance, there's always open doors leading to value-added benefits to meet almost any human need. So instead of fight, flight, or suffer silently with adverse emotions, the rationalists will make choices to improve any situation they find themselves involved with and strive to do so with a minimum of emotional distress. Proposition 2. Once you accept reality, then you can choose to influence it. You can only deal with reality in the present. The past cannot be changed and the future is not here yet, so all you have is the present. Only what you do today counts and will make for a different tomorrow. How you interpret or view reality will strongly influence how you deal with it. So as long as reality is not immediately life-threatening, you have time to deal with any situation rationally. The rational approach to dealing with reality is to interpret it or reframe it properly without distortion and irrational biases, so that your emotions do not respond negatively with anger, disappointment, frustration, sadness, anxiety. All thoughts causing emotional distress imply an improper or irrational interpretation of reality. As hurtful as the situation might be to your preferences, the rational response is to acknowledge the gap between what is, that's the reality, and the outcome you prefer. Only by accepting reality accurately can you begin to consider what courses of action are open to you to gain the best possible outcome for your benefit. Proposition 3. How you view reality determines how you will respond to it. Now, there are many different ways to view reality, but certainly some of them are better than others. If your view of reality causes emotional distress, then it is the wrong interpretation. The best interpretation of reality are either emotionally neutral or motivating. If your first response to any non-physical threatening reality is one of negativity or emotional distress, then your interpretation of reality and inclination for a first response is likely irrational. Your response to adversity may be normal, but it is not necessarily rational or conducive to success and happiness. The rational response is always calm acceptance of any adverse situation and emotionally energized to respond appropriately to improve the situation. The rationalists have trained themselves to seek opportunity in every situation to further their values, including the value of serenity and peace of mind. In some cases, an adverse situation may not have an immediate option for aligning with your preferences, and there may be a temptation to mourn the loss of something you cherish. But no matter how bad things might seem at first glance, you always have options and choices as to how to respond to reality. You can irrationally go to pieces emotionally, or you can rationally hold yourself together with a positive attitude based on a view taken from a little bit higher perspective. Now, my final message: rationality means accepting reality before responding to it. Not accepting reality implies you're emotionally prepared either to fight against reality or to mourn the loss of something of value. To fight against adversity is not always the best first response, nor is it necessary to begin suffering emotional distress. Accepting reality doesn't mean you necessarily accept any personal loss of anything you value. It just means that you accept reality as a starting point of your response, and in the meantime, you're not so overwrought with negative emotions that you begin responding in counterproductive ways. The rational response is always 1. To find productive actions to protect what you value, and 2. To avoid unnecessary emotional negativity stemming from irrational interpretations of these adverse situations. The rational response to adversity always begins with an acceptance of reality and its proper interpretation, defined as a perception that does not produce emotional distress. That's all for now. Remember to stay positive. You'll be happier, healthier, and live longer.